I love how your like background has developed over time.
It does, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Would you change something?
I don't know, I like it. It says a lot about you. I love the Messi and Ronaldo.
Yeah,
The
this
goats.
part, like the flag and these things, because this is one of my favorite things, and
Mm-hmm.
like these two are definitely my favorite. And I also love these two, so I don't know if I would add anything. I
No,
would
it looks
like
good.
some lighting at some point, though.
No, it's
Some
funny.
more.
Yeah, for sure. Lighting's so good. But I was literally just saying before we started that the whole One Piece, the story I was just telling you about how I saw a kid on the bus with the One Piece flag, like he had a backpack with the One Piece logo.
That's a
And
funny
I
one.
am not an anime fan at all. And I've always just seen this logo and thought it was Nick's logo, like that he'd created. I just thought it was Nick's. So when I saw a kid in the bus, I'm like, oh, this guy knows Nick. What the flip? Only to find out it's One Piece, one of the biggest animes in the world.
Uh, you should definitely record this story.
Mate,
Are
we're
you
rolling,
recording already?
we're rolling, we're
Oh,
starting. We're going. We're going straight into it. We're going straight into it. No introductions.
I should have not tell you that it was mine. That it was
Imagine.
One Piece. I should have let you in the dark.
That'd be so funny. Oh man, Nick, how we doing, man?
All is good.
Yeah, you
Y-
chilling?
Yeah, yeah. It's the day's still starting for me today, so it's like
Yeah, there's a late one.
things are slow.
Yes, dude. So, for those that don't know, this is Small Stakes Nick. He is a Greek. Would you say variety streamer, creator, mainly FIFA?
Ah, I would say 50% FIFA and 50% everything else.
Yeah, fair.
Probably.
So for those that don't know, tell us about yourself. Tell us where you're from, who you are.
I'm from the lovely Greece. My family has like a big history of like moving around Europe, like Latin America, Asia, whatever. But in general, we have settled in Greece like for a long time now, and I was born here, raised here, so like I'm super Greek,
Super Greek.
basically. Um, yeah, like that's the nationality part. Now for the content stuff, like also like as my family history is like weird, not weird but complicated, my also like my job is also complicated, so I'm like
Mm,
I'm a writer, so I write plots, stories, work for publishing companies and stuff. But I work in sales, I work in touristic stuff basically, and I have like a variety of basically jobs that I've
yeah.
done. But I would say right now I'm like mostly into like three things like sales, writing, and content creation, basically social media, content creation.
Mhm. Yeah, because
That's the background, at
when
least.
we first met, you kind of told me about you were like a writer and things like that. And how where did you kind of get into writing? Like, what have you always wanted to do it? Did it just kind of come natural to you?
I was always into movies and books, always,
Mm.
like from a very young age. I remember one of my first books that I read was actually Goosebumps. I was like very
Goosebumps.
into, yeah, Adel Stein's Goosebumps. By the way,
Love that.
guys, it is, and it is not like a book for young kids. Like it kind of destroyed me, but in a good way too.
Yeah, I was
Like my
terrified of Goosebumps
imagination.
growing up.
That was like one of my first influences of
Mm.
things that got me into that. And basically, I was also in love with movies and stuff. Like me and my best friend would go into the. We did have DVDs or not even DVDs. The old what is it called?
VHS.
VHS. Yeah, we
Yeah.
had
Oh my
VHS then.
god.
We would go into a video club each and every day with my best friend, and we would rent at least 2 or 3 movies to watch.
Hmm.
And basically, half of them were also horror movies. So it was like
Right.
I saw a lot of things. I
Yeah,
saw a
it's
lot of
scarred
things.
from a
Yeah.
young age.
Yeah. To be fair, my genre was always horror and mystery. So
Okay.
it is kind of I am yeah. It's something I like.
Hmm.
But like the writing part came it started then, like the seed was planted basically.
Mm-hmm.
But when I grew up slowly, I noticed that I had like good ideas, and I could see plots behind movies without trying. I would guess stuff. I would understand characters. Like, it was weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was like something was there, but I hadn't like, dived into it at
It was
all.
just coming natural to you, kind of thing.
Yeah. And then
Oh,
in one of my
interesting.
best like internships, I got the chance to start writing articles for them.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, you know what? Let's explore this. And then basically, I just kept buying books to learn and improve,
Yeah.
and then like trying to improve each day. Like, I would watch a movie and I would analyze it, or
Mm-hmm.
I would make plots and stuff like that. And then it kind of like I had a lot of opportunities, and basically
Mm-hmm.
that's what happened.
Dude, that's so cool. So like it kind of just came natural. It wasn't like you read something and you were like, oh, I want to be this or I want to be that. It just you kind of felt like it came natural and you would just drifted
Yeah, I
drifted
always
into it.
liked in the movies, like the classic scene where a writer has to write something and he leaves it for the last day,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically gets like a bottle of something and just sits there, and they saw him like he wrote a book in the whole night basically.
Right. Like
That's
they're
yeah.
gone.
No, like that was like, well, I could be that guy, maybe
Yeah,
without the
yeah, yeah.
bottle.
Yeah, because
But it's
isn't
just
there the
like,
story of like I don't know if it's true or not, but like J.K. Rowling wrote the entire Harry Potter series on a train journey. I think that's true.
apparently it might be,
Or
it
the
might be.
majority, or
Yeah,
like at least the
I'm
gist
actually
of
not
it. She
sure.
had created the whole world and idea.
Most of the things you create, either way, like, it doesn't happen right there on the book, right?
Hmm.
It does happen, like, for me at least, the writing process is like very different. I think for most writers, like, you get glimpses of stuff or ideas in the most random places,
Hmm.
like
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
supermarket. Like, dreaming is also a thing. I've created a lot
yeah.
of stuff from dreaming, for example, or it can happen anytime. But
Hmm.
maybe, whatever works. Like, she might have written it easily. Like, it might be
Yeah.
written in a train for easily. Yeah.
I feel like when you get a good idea though, sometimes you just get those moments where it's just coming at you and just flowing, like, and you just gotta write it down or make a note of it,
Yeah, write or record, I would say,
or yeah,
at
or
least.
record. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Do you-
it's definitely something you should do.
yeah, yeah. I always try and keep like a notepad or something next to. Also, when you have we have phones now, so you can write it down on your phone. But before I used to just keep like a notepad next to my bed because like it always the ideas like you said come in dreams or like just before you go to sleep or like
Yeah,
you
you
just.
definitely need to have something for sure. Yeah.
Hmm.
I always like to write things down. I'm like an old-fashioned guy, kinda.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you're out there, like if you're out for a coffee or something, if you
Mm.
get an idea, you're not gonna have like a notebook easily with you. It depends. So
Yeah. No. So going back before you go into like writing and things like that, what was life like growing up in Greece? What was what was like? Because obviously I've been to Greece many times, like for holidays and things like that, but I never really thought about what it's like growing up and like the
But
mental health side of like Greece. Like how is like mental health kind of like interpreted and like spoken about in Greece back then and now?
this is something I really wanted to talk about too.
Mm.
It's something I also really wanted to talk about with someone from outside of Greece, because I had to talk to with it like for it in like with people from inside, but I
Hmm.
haven't like talked about it for a long time with people from abroad. Greece is awful, like in stuff like that. Like,
Jeez.
if it is getting better, but Greece was always very old fashioned.
Yeah.
Just to give you, I'm gonna give you the whole story, okay? Because
Yeah.
it is very important, because it's basically shaping all of the community around us right now. It's still shaping the community, and I'm gonna tell you how exactly it also changes slowly. Right, back in the days, like, people are still, but they were like super super close minded. Like, they were
Mm.
not open about anything. So if someone wanted to talk about mental health, they wouldn't even know what they're talking about. Like, or they would say, "Oh, what's going on with my kid? Oh my God, what's going on?" They would say like, "Oh, Παναγία μου, τι έχει πάθει το παιδί μου?"
Yeah,
Greek stuff,
yeah,
basically evoking the gods or something.
right.
But the thing is that it was a very close subject. Like nobody would open up, nobody, and it would be
Really?
close in other stuff too because these things are connected, right? So it would be there would be strict, very strict for traditions, like super strict.
Hmm.
Uh, like there wouldn't be anything open about sexuality, anything open about mental health. It would be super bad in a state where the parents or most people would be ashamed of you if you talked about it.
Right.
It's very bad. Like
Very old
it used
fashioned
to
and
be.
saw it as weakness.
Yeah, it's really really bad. I don't know, like I don't have a huge idea of like what's going on outside, but it's definitely it used to be like one of, I think it's maybe one of the worst because it's also connected to religion and traditions and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So it would be very difficult back in the days to open up about anything or even acknowledge it yourself.
Right.
That because this is very important, of course.
Yeah.
So that's how it used to be. It's trying to get better. People are trying to get more into like open sexuality, more like talk about stuff, mental health. It's getting better. That's a good thing. But it
That's
still
good.
has a lot of ways to go.
Yeah.
Like for example, I can tell you like there were very like a lot of incidents because this is very important where someone would like beat up their kid basically because he was like or yeah, or like
Wow.
people would cut off people from the family because he had like mental issues and he wouldn't acknowledge them, for example, or stuff
Wow.
like that constantly. It still happens. It still happens. I'm seeing it with my like bare eyes basically,
So
but it's
sad.
getting better a bit. It's getting
Yeah.
better a bit.
It's crazy how like, because I feel like in the UK we're doing a really good job. I think we could be doing better, but it seemed like from my childhood to now, like the difference is like astronomical in how much people are talking about mental health and accepting it. And I think if you heard someone said like 15 years ago, like, oh, go see a therapist, like, oh wow, this dude's crazy. Whereas now, like everyone's kind of shocked if
But
you're
it
not
was the
seeing a
same.
therapist.
So
Yeah.
basically, it was the same for you, kinda.
Yeah, I
You
would
would
say
say.
so. I would say so.
Okay. Maybe it was similar then. I don't know. Usually, Greece like is like a step behind whatever other countries
Yeah.
are like.
Yeah,
Usually a step
I always get
behind.
the vibe of Greece being a little bit like delayed and kind of old school in how they do things.
Maybe traditions and stuff too. Like that
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah, I think it wasn't necessarily that people didn't talk about it here. It was kind of just almost like it didn't exist, even though it did. It was almost just like it was like that taboo of like, oh, I never knew what anxiety and depression was until maybe 2015. Like I had
Yeah.
heard of it, but I didn't realize how
Same.
common it.
Same.
I didn't realize how common it was.
Yeah, I was living. We were living in a bubble. I think
Yeah,
till some point, till it hits you, basically.
yeah. I don't know if it's like the increase of, I don't want to say like celebrity deaths or like celebrity suicides and things like that, but like when you start to see people like dying that like are known and big figures, people are like, why these people have everything? Like, why are they still like committing suicide and things like that, And it's like the whole thing of money doesn't buy happiness. And I think that's what kind of like made people start thinking a lot more
Mhm.
about
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
I don't know, it's just something I kind of thought
That's
about.
what triggered it for you, basically. Then
But not for me
mostly.
personally. One thing that really stuck with me was when Robin Williams died, the actor.
Mm-hmm.
Because I kind of like, I've always been like a bit of an entertainer and like comedy person. I've always wanted to like make people laugh. So I kind of like
Yeah.
looked up to Robin Williams a little bit. And celebrity deaths don't really phase me, but that one got to me. And then that was when I first started doing research into like depression and the signs and things like that.
Yeah, the signs are always there, I think, even from a
Yeah.
very young age.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I've learned basically, and The signs are there, but it's basically till you start like till it starts happening to you, or till it starts like happening to people around you. Usually, but you
Hmm.
start seeing it mostly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like very different, but it's like it is very intriguing. It's so both sometimes terrifying, but also very intriguing of actually seeing different sides of the story. Of
Hmm.
course, like to see how many people actually got into improving mental health and stuff, which is like I would say maybe it should be like number one priority
Yeah,
uh,
definitely.
of everyone. Like every government too should have like number one priority health and mental health, basically those two together.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
would say.
agree. Yeah, I definitely think
Um,
governments and things like that could be doing way more to
yeah,
help.
definitely.
But
I wanted to give you also a bit of a small like detail too to make you understand because it's not easy to understand why are like Greek people like that. For example,
mm,
the country like a small like inside information. Basically, many people might not actually figure this out. I had to spend years to understand it.
mhm,
Basically, the older generations went through war, right? Went
right.
through like invasions, stuff like that. They wouldn't even have food and stuff.
Mhm.
So these people had to be rough, had to be tough. There wasn't any time
Yeah.
for anxiety, anything, right? So these people basically grew up having spent war, a scarcity of food, and they would just sometimes they would even beat their kids up
Yeah.
because that was what tradition was basically. And
As bad
there
as it
would be, you know
sounds.
what? Yeah, it is super sad, but it's like people basically raised our parents, kinda.
Mhm.
So, some of our parents, I was very lucky, turned out like super good. It's turned out like good people, wouldn't hurt a fly and stuff. But
Mhm.
there were many cases where, like, if that's all you've met, there was nothing to change there. Like, these people never actually got like a look inside.
Mm.
So they would then raise their kids exactly like them, and they would think it was good, for example. So
Yeah.
that's why many like families are the way they are right now in Greece. That's like some inside information, kinda.
So do you feel like people of kind of like our generation and our age are when they're having their children, they're trying more and more trying to like break that cycle of kind of like old school parenting and old school traditions? Do you see like
I
there's
would
more of a
say, yeah.
change with like the younger generation of Greeks coming through?
There's definitely a change. You got up a bit in the end.
Do you feel like bad internet connection, the younger generation of Greeks coming through are trying to change that?
Definitely a bit better. Like it's getting better. Like people are trying to change things. I
Mhm.
myself, I'm trying to change things. Like I'm trying to be, I'm trying to spread the message. I'm trying to, care more, do more, start more. But
Yeah.
it's like I think they're definitely trying to do something.
Mhm.
But I can see it already. Like we are the kids of our parents who are raised weird, right? So
Mhm.
right now we were the first line of defense of the people that were trying to break the circle, basically.
Yeah.
Because our parents did not escape. They were
Mhm.
definitely deep into that. Maybe like way better circumstances and stuff, not war and stuff,
Yeah.
but like they had to live with all the basically these people, the grandparents had real problems, and they basically put everything, all the pressure onto our parents, so
Right,
they
yeah.
kind of destroyed them, most of them, almost all of them, maybe.
Yeah.
So we are the first line, like our generation is like the first line of basically defense against the better like mental health, basically, I would say.
Yeah. So it's almost like our parents' generation, they didn't necessarily have war, but they got the repercussions of it from their parents.
Definitely, yeah.
So like their parents' trauma, their parents' PTSD and things like that. But
Yeah.
back then they
our
weren't
pa-
diagnosing it like that, were they?
I don't think so. I don't think
No.
so. Now they would say like I'm like it's still stuck in my head, like, how normal this is. Like, your kid is bad, just beat it,
Really?
beat it into goodness. Like what?
Jeez.
It wouldn't be advertised, but it would be a normal thing within like,
Like a common
bigger
household
families.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was lucky. I didn't experience any of that.
Wow.
But I would hear like fellow families like, "What? Like
Mhm.
why?"
Yeah.
It would still be weird for me. It's
Yeah,
like
that's crazy. Like, don't
it was
don't
yeah.
sorry, go on.
Like the way the family would accept it too. Like the grandmother would say, "Ah, the kid is bad, just beat it." Like oh, everyone. Like no one would escape. If you were in that kind
Really?
of family, you were yeah. It was really weird. It is still really weird, but I don't think it's
Mhm.
very. It's I'm also I'm also like presenting it a bit. It might sound worse than it is, but it is like close to what I'm saying. Not
Mhm.
every family, of course, was that. Like
No.
we have to say that. Like there were a lot of families that were better, but they still had a lot of problems.
Yeah. It's still, even if
Basically,
it's a
like
few
that.
families, it's still way more than it should be.
Yeah, definitely. It
Like,
shouldn't be there at all.
any more than 0 is too much. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
that's
It,
but
that's a bit of a background, basically.
mm.
It's like go on.
So, like, I was just gonna say, when, like, growing up, do you feel like you had any kind of, like, signs where you felt like you had any, like, anxiety or depression or, like, any struggles when it came to your mental health?
I think the signs were there.
Mm.
I was just like way too positive and that time like and way too into what was going on. I was like excited and doing things and stuff. So my mind was always kept busy. So I wouldn't see the signs. I
Right.
was always a bit hyper and stuff. And
Mhm.
sometimes that would lead to a lack of energy. Sometimes like I would spend the whole week outside and then I would crash out basically and
Right.
feel a bit depressed and stuff. And I would say, it is what it is. Maybe I'm sad and stuff. Like I was not like always don't think I have depression exactly, but I feel like every person has a little bit of like I don't think I have like the worst cases of depression maybe.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel that the signs were there definitely till I reached an age where I completely crashed out. Like I had like an incident and I was like everything like changed. It was like a
Really?
basically like a flip switch. Yeah.
Oh, wow. What happened?
It was also like I basically have panic disorder, so I
Mhm.
have like I suffer from anxiety and panic attacks.
Right.
I used to suffer like way more, but it is not ideal. I would say I was like in my most happy maybe moment of my life, maybe. Oh,
Most happy moment, did
sorry.
you say? Sorry.
So give me 1 second. I don't know why that went off. Sorry, I
That's
was an
okay.
alarm.
That's all right. It didn't come through. What
It's
did you say?
on mute, so yeah.
You
Go
said
on.
you're in the
Sorry.
most happy moment of your life. Did you say?
Yeah, I was in. So basically, it was my one most happy moment of my life till then. It was basically the day I got a degree,
Mhm.
which is very important for people around the world, I think. But people emphasize it a lot, like a lot in Greece.
Mhm.
Uh, in the point where, like, if you didn't get a degree, you would be considered like, not a failure, but
Yeah.
it would be bad. I
Right.
think that happens everywhere. Um, so I was in the basically a ceremony there.
Mhm.
Uh, I had woken up very early, so I was like dressed all nice, suit and tie. My hair was just like cut and stuff.
Mhm.
It was like the perfect moment. I first went to like a different um another ceremony for someone else, and then I went basically to my college to do
Right.
mine. Okay, so I was there. We were taking photos. Everything was perfect, stuff like that. Everyone was smiling and stuff. I'm getting a big anxious. Sorry. It's
No, no,
like
no. So take your time, man. Take your time.
it's always when you talk about it, it's always a
It's
bit
difficult.
stressful, but it's not. Yeah. So and basically we filled in after all the photos, everything was going well. I had invited everyone I knew, so I knew my folks would be there.
Mhm.
And wow, even now, like I feel my like I'm like it's I can feel my body is reacting to it. It's crazy, like how
Man.
mental health is.
Yeah. Well, I
But it's like I
appreciate you
basically
speaking up
went.
about it.
Yeah, of course. I've spoken about it a few times. It's more easy for me now because it's all practice. I think
Mm-hmm.
practice. It's everything is practice. I
Yeah.
think in everything maybe.
Yeah. No,
And
definitely.
we basically walked in the room. It was like a big amphitheater, and it was empty. So it was only me and my fellow students, like maybe 20 people, and things were getting prepared. And then I turned back. We had like some special robes in Greece. When you get a degree, you wear
Yeah. Yeah.
robes too. And I saw thousands of people getting in the theater,
Oh.
and I started freaking out for
Oh
no
man.
reason, for no apparent reason. There, like my hands would tremble. Even
Mm-hmm.
now, I like it's it's I can feel it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it was a very core event in my life, basically.
Yeah.
So I would see all these people get in, and I freaked out. Like I felt awful. Basically, had a panic attack immediately, and my hands were trembling. Like we had a paper with the oath we were about to say, and there was like a constant thought in my mind that was stuck there. Basically, when they called my name, I was sure I was gonna walk up there and pass out. Basically,
Oh
it
wow.
was completely stuck on my head that it was gonna happen. So my body was like in panic mode right in
Mm-hmm.
there. And like we would read, I remember, I can laugh now because it's we
Mm.
sometimes you have to have like
You have to. You have to.
yeah, you have
Hmm.
to. It seems like a bad joke, but
Yeah.
it is a joke, to be fair, sometimes. But it's like I had the paper, I was holding it, and my hands were like this.
Really? Oh
Yeah, it
man.
was awful. And I had like one of my I'm glad enough that I had like one of my best friends next to me. By the way, he knew nothing about mental health, nothing about panic attacks. No one
Mm-hmm.
knew anything. Like all of my friends, no one knew about mental health and whatever back then, right?
What year
So
would this have been?
it was close 2015, I think.
Okay.
Actually,
Right.
you actually got it right. I think that's
Yeah.
the year I finished my college too.
Right.
And I would see him, and I was gonna say that I'm not feeling very well, and I might pass out and stuff. He was telling me like maybe the worst advice ever, like calm down, it's nothing and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I was like, oh, that really helped. No, not,
Not.
not. Basically, I had to do something, and I was sure I was something was happening to me. I didn't know what it was. Basically, I had no idea what panic attacks were there.
Yeah.
So I went to I stepped up a bit, which felt weird to me because everyone was actually kind of. It felt you had like a spotlight onto you, right? So
Yeah.
it felt weird. And I walked in the entrance. There was someone that was helping people with dressing and stuff. So I told him, "Sorry, I'm not feeling very well. I'm feeling dizzy. Maybe I have like a lower. Maybe I hadn't eaten anything that morning, so maybe that was the case too. Maybe it had some influence on how I was feeling
Mm-hmm.
because I was feeling dizzy too.
Yeah.
And yeah, basically I went there. She gave me. My father also was up there, so he saw me going inside, and he actually descended down to see what's going on. And I basically had a bit of sugar. I told him everything is okay. Maybe my blood pressure dropped or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I did it because usually in my panic attacks that followed the incident, like next days, next weeks and stuff, it was way worse than that. Like I would get depressed for weeks or
Oh,
days and
wow.
stuff whenever I had an incident. But somehow, after 5 minutes in that first incident, because I didn't know what was happening too, maybe
Yeah.
I walked out. I managed to be myself. Everything went okay. I went up. I was super happy. We went outside after. We got in a tavern. We had fun. We
Nice.
laughed. Yeah. But that was the beginning. Basically, that was like when something
Um.
like a switch basically flipped, and
So
like
it
it
was
was the
literally
day
just
that
like
changed
that.
everything. Yeah,
So like
that
from that day
easy.
forth, did you start getting these like quite frequently, or was it like how long
Yeah, every
until the
day.
next one?
I wouldn't get panic attacks every day, but I would get like intrusive and very anxious and almost delusional sometimes
Oh
thoughts.
wow,
Basically, not delusional, but like you, I would. I would. It's tough. I
that's
would
okay.
get outside. For example, I would prepare if I was to go outside. to have some drinks or whatever in an event,
Hmm.
my mind would stress about, oh, what if it happens again there? On
Right.
how far will I be from my house? And
Hmm.
what's gonna happen? Like I would get thoughts like that constantly, like every day.
I think that's
To
quite
be fair,
rational.
these thoughts.
I think those thoughts are quite rational. Though. Like you, the fear of like not wanting it to happen when you're in like a location like that's far away from
Yeah,
home or something like that.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Mm,
sense. To be fair, but I would overanalyze everything
right.
basically. It was like it is like it still is sometimes. You know, it's still
Mm,
the thoughts come and go sometimes. You know, it's not easy. I don't think it's ever gonna be removed completely.
hmm. Do you?
Uh,
I was gonna say,
Go on.
do you find it like there's certain periods where, or if doing certain things, it might like alleviate any symptoms or any panic from you, like work. Like I know you like to work out and things like that. Do you find?
Yeah, definitely. Like it helps a lot. Like working out is. I also had some experience with working out, and I was a personal trainer for a bit. So
So you used to be a personal trainer, right?
yeah. One of the things that was like most. Uh, I used to have like something that actually made me had like a bad experience too. Was panic attacks at the point when I was studying. It happened well, some of the biggest panic attacks happened when I was studying actually for personal training. It was a bit awful,
Mm.
but it was like it's been proven that working out and stuff alleviates like a lot of things with stress and stuff. It helps. It
Hmm.
doesn't shut it down completely, but it helps with the right hormones and stuff being released and
Definitely,
anxiety. So, yeah, so it's very very important. I think everyone should do it for sure.
definitely. I need to do it more because I feel like anytime I do work out, like I just because you don't think about anything else. You're concentrating on the workout. Like even if it's just a walk as well. Like I think I've recently tore the meniscus in my knee, and like most people that know me know that I love cycling. Cycling is like
Mhm.
my main form of exercise, and for the last 4 weeks, I haven't been able to cycle, and I've noticed the drop in my mental health massively. Like just not being able to exert that energy, like even working out like upper body, I can't really do as much. I never realized how much you need your knees. Like knees are important, man.
Yeah, for sure.
But I've definitely noticed a drop in my mental health since not being able to like properly exercise.
Yeah, it's super important.
Mm,
Let me tell you something important actually that connects to that.
go on.
They had like a research in Japan,
Ooh,
basically. I'm not gonna cite that like 100% of the exact place and stuff that was
right.
happening. Basically, what the? But I don't know why. But give me like 1 second. I have to set
No,
my
that's
phone
okay.
down. I
Be
don't know
right
what
back.
is happening, but it has. So basically, there was a research back in the days in I think Japan.
Right.
So they had like serious deaths basically
Hmm.
from overworking and stuff,
Oh wow.
and whatever came with it, of course. Which
Hmm.
of course would have to be would have like overworking is also extra stress and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So they found out. I'm not gonna tell you the because it's a huge story. They basically did a research on the places
Mm.
where they had like the lowest death rates from like basically I think suicides and overworking. So they found a specific place in Japan
Oh wow.
that had like the lowest. They had like a life expectancy of 87 years old, which is quite nice, I think
Yeah,
maybe.
that's a good average age.
And they found out that people that did like a specific time of the hour, basically,
Mm.
and did like a simple like I think it was like a either a 5 minute or 20 minute exercise routine, but not like a heavy exercise. Basically, it
Hmm.
was a couple of movements, stretches,
Just
stuff like
moving the
that
body, like.
in specific times of the day that they
Oh,
found out that they would reduce their stress levels basically.
oh
It will
wow.
also reduce, it will also help with the good hormones that help you stay young and stay healthy and stuff.
Okay.
And it would decrease like the effects of like some more hormones on like basically as you grow old, basically it would
Right.
reduce it just by a
Okay.
simple like workout or like a habit in the morning.
Yeah,
So that's how
morning
important it
is so
is.
important.
The hour was super specific too. Like I
Right.
think there it was. I don't know if it applies to everyone, right? But it was like the article said it was like 5:40 in the morning, basically. I think
Okay.
it was a very
Interesting.
specific time, but I think it was tailored to like Japanese people, right?
Right. Yeah.
Maybe.
So I feel
So
like
yeah,
you could probably like translate it to like whatever your routine is. If you wake up at 7
yeah,
a.m. for
probably,
work, whatever, you could.
yeah.
I think doing it
And it was
first thing in the
simple.
morning is the best.
I did it once. I had like a period I was working. I was waking up like 6 o'clock
Hmm.
and went for like immediately, if for a run, immediately, half an
Really.
hour. And while it was tiring, I felt like I was feeling at that time, the I was feeling positive, more positive, good stuff. Like I was feeling
Hmm.
better. It's not it's maybe not the thing for everyone. I wouldn't do it now for no way. I couldn't keep up with it as I grew
Uh-huh.
old, but it was something I did see. Like maybe morning exercise might be the way to go. I don't know.
Yeah, I would. I wish I was more of a morning person. Like I think it really starts your day. Like a lot of people will say, like if you're looking at like healthy morning routines, a lot of them will say to get sunlight straight away. Like as soon as you can, just step outside, even for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just be in the sun. And I keep wanting to like just wake up 10 minutes early. Like I have a balcony that I can go sit on. Like, and I don't do it. I wish I could just. I need to just go upstairs, open the balcony doors, sit out there, taking the vitamin D for 10 minutes, like, and just start your day that way. I think that is super healthy.
I think also it's pure biology. Like my
Yeah.
fiance at the moment
Mm-hmm.
tell
Yes.
me
Congratulations
that
on that, by the way.
in like, thank you. She had told me that basically when your body sees thing sunlight,
Yeah.
it starts basically doing stuff. It starts the
It
day.
kind of
It
like
starts,
wakes the body up.
yeah, and it's also important in like stuff like, of course, like exposing yourself in sunlight,
Hmm.
vitamin D, which is
Yeah.
super important for mental
Which
health and stuff.
everyone's deficient in. So many people.
Do you know there was actually, I don't know if I can talk about it.
Oh,
There
God.
was like a research which I took part in, basically in my old
Oh.
company.
Oh,
I
really?
cannot tell you what it was about, but I can tell you that you wouldn't imagine the places where they had like vitamin D deficiency. You would never imagine.
Really?
Yeah, like never. You know the classic ones. I know people from UK have sometimes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. UK's big.
Um, like Scandinavian are also there, but like they're very lucky because dietary. They have a lot of fish and stuff, which supply
Yes.
them with vitamin D, so it kind of helps. But that's so there can also be there like a deficiency, of course. Like it can happen really everywhere,
Hmm.
and it can happen. We noticed that we people had deficiency in the most like sunlight places, basically.
Really?
It was crazy. Not all of them, but they had like deficiencies a lot.
I suppose I feel like people this day and age as well go outside way less than we used to. Like, I don't know about how it was for you growing up, but like when I was growing up, like 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, if my friends wanted to play, like we're not online on Xbox or PlayStation or whatever, like we would go outside, we'd go to the woods, we'd go play football.
Definitely,
Like we didn't
it
have
was the
online
same.
gaming. Like,
It was the same for us, for sure.
mm,
Yeah,
like I'm trying to
we
think.
were so much exposed. Yeah,
Yeah, like, dude, if you had like the summer holidays, like the holidays off school or something, every day was in the woods or like, again, just go into a lake or going fishing or just outdoor activities. And I wonder if like this, almost like this crisis of mental health of like the generations, like our generations and the ones coming up, are because people don't go outside as much. Like people have become so used to just being in their own dwelling, in their own home. And I feel like
yeah,
I feel like victim of it. Of like, if back in the day, if you wanted a McDonald's, you'd have to go in and speak to someone, tell them your order,
yeah,
physically
for
face
sure.
to face, and get it. Now I can get a McDonald's delivered to my door without moving and having to speak to anyone. Like I feel like that creates such a divide between people. So
Yeah,
when you have to speak to someone, you don't know how to anymore. Like, you know?
it is very, yeah, sometimes it feels, yeah, sometimes when I don't leave the house for a couple of days maybe,
Mm.
I feel like what's going on around here when I go out,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm like a social butterfly with super introvert movement sometimes. So it's a weird
Yeah, it's
combination.
interesting because every time I speak to you, like, oh, you wanna do something, you wanna watch a game, you're like, oh, I'm at a bar, I'm going out, I'm going out. I'm like, dude, this guy's out
Yeah,
so like,
I am a social butterfly.
mm-hmm,
But I also have like a lot of. It's very weird. I feel like I'm two persons sometimes. Like
yeah.
I feel like I'm two people. Maybe most of us are, or even more.
I think there's a word for that now. Like, if you're like an introverted extrovert, I think there is a term for that.
Thing
I
is,
can't
yeah,
remember. But I'm very
there is.
similar.
I haven't actually analyzed it, the exact like basically group I'm in, but there are
Mm-hmm.
definitely some categories and stuff
Yeah.
for that. I was gonna say that I think what I've analyzed for myself, and these are all basically personal experience, which we are talking about here, like with Will and me, and basically we are like talking about like things we have experienced. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not like it's not like it is you someone can take it up as advice, but it isn't like the same of actually going to someone and getting your mental health checked out, of course, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But this is what I've realized is that I think the world is so stressful outside. You get so many things happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Work is usually stressful. You meet people which are there are really bad people in the world. That's something. Maybe most of them are, but I feel that they're also really good people too.
Mm-hmm.
But you get all of these things daily without like most of the people are also living like a forced life, kinda. I
Yeah.
think they basically stuck.
Yeah.
So you get all of these things coming at you, basically anxiety, work, bad people, and then the only thing you want to do is like go home in your cocoon and just recover.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it makes sense. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want to go outside and meet more people, or you don't want to go, at least easily.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to go in the gym and work out. Usually, if you manage to make a habit of it, you're gonna crush it,
Yeah.
basically. But if you like, usually most of the people at least, when you have these many bad things happening to you on a daily basis, they don't want to go outside and see the sunlight or whatever. It's usually they're
Yeah.
gonna cocoon. We do it too,
They
probably.
kind of just want to switch their brain off, stick something on the TV or like on the TikTok, and kind of just escape reality for a couple of hours until they have to do it again the
Yeah,
next day.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. You have to. They want to switch that. They want to like shut it off a bit. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's about it.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I don't think this happens to everyone, but I think it's a general like reason. I think
Mm.
like the world has become like that stressful and it's becoming even more stressful in different ways that it used to be in back in the days, right? Back in the days, you would have other reasons to be stressed about because
Mm-hmm.
stress was there, like war stuff like that. But if you check to see, like I've analyzed it, like if you take the daily basis, right? And if you also check the fact that you get all of these images from the world. So, what images are you getting?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm over analyzing here, but I've done a lot of like thoughts and
Yeah.
stuff. Like I did like self medication basically for a lot of years, for me
Right.
at least. So what I've analyzed is that you have all of these things in a daily basis, and the world, like if you see the news or TikTok or whatever, goes around like in a couple of ways. It either tells you the bad stuff that are happening and catastrophology, like okay, the world's ending, we're gonna get a war soon.
Yeah.
You cannot escape this, by the way. It's everywhere. Like if you
No.
basically live here, you hear it everywhere. It at least in Greece.
Yeah. The
I don't know if it's
access
the
to
same in you.
information now is greater than it's ever been. And I don't think like there's no escaping just there's information overload constantly.
Yeah. Also, the social media depression, like everyone's trying to appear like successful and happy and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this is still there. So we basically get bombarded with that, even if you don't want to.
Hmm.
So imagine all of that together. So it makes sense that people get depressed and more anxious. And, if someone hears about this and he has been through a war, like a literal war,
Hmm.
he's going to say that, wow, that's nothing, right?
Yeah.
We were
Yeah. Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
bombarded, basically. But it's really so important if you think about it,
Yeah. I
because
suppose.
this is a war too,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's
Another
like not
war,
without
different war.
guns. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not a war with guns and bombs, but just a day to day battle, basically.
yeah. It might sound, as I said, it might sound like weird to someone that if someone listens to this and he's like 80 years old or 90 and he has like actually fought a war, it
Hmm.
does sound like, how would I say? We say in Greek, we say acharistos, like not baby.
Aristos.
Basically, we basically not savoring what you have right now,
Right.
kinda.
But
Which,
yeah.
which is very important, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. I mean, it is like an information war because it is like when you said about the news and stuff like that, we're being told all these things. It's very rarely good things. If you ever watch the news, it doesn't matter what news network or channel, or even if it's through social media. I think like X now is where most people get their information and their news from is through Twitter X. Like it's become like the number
Maybe,
one news
maybe,
source.
yeah.
I'm sure I read that, but it's like anywhere you look, the news is always talking about negative stuff, and it's constantly drilling negativity into
Yeah,
like
subconsciously and right away
yeah.
too.
But it's always like like yeah, we need to talk about the bad things like invasions in Ukraine or Russia or like Iraq or whatever. But it's like it's never uplifting stories. It's never like, oh, this amazing thing happened here and this incredible life-saving story here. Like I feel like you really have to search for that kind of thing in I
They're
mean
doing
being
it on purpose too.
I think so.
No, definitely.
If you
It's been shown that if they manage to I think it's also like been a research, like if you basically have like very bad stuff happening or
mm,
something that's really, it is drama but it's basically exciting, it elevates people want to watch more. Most of people,
yeah, yeah.
inside. So I think it's based on that,
Yeah, it's also
maybe.
like, would it be? Do you reckon you could class it as like fear, not fear mongering, but like fear tactics of like scaring people into kind of
Oh
just
yeah, definitely.
staying in
Definitely.
line and just
And I think the governments basically also use media. Let's not face it. Most of the governments use media to do whatever they want. So at
oh,
least in Greece,
100%.
that happens like almost sure. Like
Yeah,
there's been
yeah,
many cases of actually people like going. They didn't know if they went to court, but they were like, you could see like on the COVID area, like time period, basically right now when bad things happening like with the train. There's a lot of things happening,
yeah,
but I think it's similar in most countries.
yeah. I would agree. But what
This is a really important factor. Like, uh,
mm,
you have to take out, like, you have to analyze it. Whatever your mental health is, this is your environment is gonna be very important, right?
yeah, yeah, I
It's
agree.
not all of it, but it's it's. Go on.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
sorry,
I
interrupting
was
you.
just gonna say like I think one thing that is like I was just trying to think of like some more positive light in like stepping away from like conspiracy stuff. Not that it's
Yeah, of
conspiracy
course.
because I think it's kind of true, but one thing I find that does help is like when you have that like friendship group that you can kind of rely on and talk about. Like, do you have any like friends that like aren't in content that you can kind of talk with about like your especially like your panic disorder and things like that are quite understanding and I'm sure like your fiance is quite understanding with it all and very helpful.
I was lucky always. Like I
Mm.
always had like a big group of friends,
Mm-hmm.
and like I think I might have hit the jackpot in that.
That's
Like all
cool.
of the friendships I've done, mostly because I attract people like me,
Yeah.
because I know myself, like I know my worth, basically. So I sometimes I usually attract people on the same type,
Like the
That's why
same
we met,
wavelength.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like it's I was always lucky with friends. Like I love very, very good friends who were
Hmm.
always there for me. But the sad part was they knew nothing about this.
Right.
So even though I had the perfect environment to actually for people to actually be there for me,
Hmm.
no one was there for me. But in not like they were not bad. They just didn't know what to
They
do.
didn't know how to help. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
go. We would go outside for a beer. For me at least, that's not definitely not advice.
Mhm.
One drink would do the trick. Like would usually relax me. One
Right.
drink. I'm not saying 10, but
Hmm.
for me, like that's what worked at that time. Maybe it saved me a bit.
Hmm.
But basically, we would go out, and I was like before I go out, I was sure I was gonna have a panic attack, and then when I
Right.
went to the place, I would get a panic attack, of course,
Right.
because it's like there's like a very good word about it. Like, basically, it's a self-made prophecy. It's not the word
Almost like a
exactly, but
almost
it's
like manifested it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I read in a book. It's a very specific word about it, but it's
Okay.
basically a self-manifested prophecy.
Oh, yeah, like a self. Yeah, I
Uh,
know the
yeah.
term. I know the term.
Okay, better. We're not trying to get
Like
someone
a
else.
self-fulfilled prophecy or something like that.
Exactly, that one.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would get the prophecy. I would get a panic attack,
Yeah.
right? So I would go there and I would have a panic attack, of course.
Hmm.
And then I was in the start. It was awful for the first year because I couldn't open up. I thought I was a monster, basically.
Oh
I
man.
thought I was literally a freak of nature. Like that was the thought in my mind.
Mm.
I was going outside. I was like, why is this happening only to me? Why is this happening to me? Like, why? And I couldn't open up. And I would say to my friends, I didn't tell them I had panic attacks because I didn't even know I was having panic attacks, right?
Hmm.
So I was like, what is happening to me? Sorry, guys, I'm getting dizzy. Can someone come out with me and just chill a bit? And
Yeah.
then I would chill outside. I would get a beer and then I would talk a bit. And usually I would be able to get inside
Yeah.
and be okay. After that, the whole night would go through
Would be
normally,
okay. Yeah.
usually. But till like even me with the perfect group, if you don't talk about it and if you don't research it and actually go to a mental health professional to actually learn more about it,
Hmm.
you're not gonna get the help you need.
No.
Basically, even with the best, like that's very important. Actually, I've actually just realized this that
Mm.
even if you have the perfect group, if you don't open up, if you don't give them what they need to help you,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get the help you need, right?
Yeah.
That's nice. I'm getting this realization now. That's why talks are nice.
Talks are great, man. This is exactly why I want to do this, to talk about these things. And I'm super grateful that you can open up and talk about these things because it is important. Like, it is good to talk about these difficult subjects. And I think, like, you're right, though, in saying you could have all the perfect scenario and perfect surrounding to,
Yeah.
to get better. But then, unless you utilize that, then it's nothing. Nothing around it can help you unless you choose to.
Yeah. That's really really important. And I just realized it by the way. Like it's like sometimes you do things and you take things in and you don't realize what they mean, but when you analyze it a bit, it's very intriguing.
Mm,
But of course, it all begins with you. Like it always begins with you.
yeah.
But I would say, as you said, like even if you have the best environment possible, it can still happen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say it has to do a lot of inside talking, like all of these things. You have to do a lot of inside talking.
As
Sometimes,
inside talking is in, like, to yourself, do you mean?
yeah, not like Randy Orton.
I
Those voices
hear
in my
from
head.
Don't start RKOing
uh,
people.
Yeah, I had read that in a book too, but sometimes you like inside of us, we have like a child, right? Basically, the child
Yeah,
that
inner
was
child.
raised to be
Yeah.
an adult in a very abrupt way. So that child
Hmm.
is still there, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes I read that in a book, that's why I do it. I like to talk to the child within me. That sounds
Okay.
weird, but it's like,
No, I get it.
it's
Yeah.
it's not like, of course, you don't actually talk to someone. It does sound a bit
No.
weird.
Yeah, it's hard to get your
But
head
it's
around, but it makes sense. Yeah.
so basically the book I read was like they said that each of us has like that child there, that insecure and that stressed child,
Yeah.
that is now an adult. So you have to speak because all of the things, because that's why growing up is so important, right? To everything, like to grow up nice and to be, thankful for what you have. And because if you have a bad childhood, it puts the seeds there to have a lot of mental health
Yeah.
issues later.
Yeah.
Mental health, you don't even have to grow up. Like depression happens to like 10-year-olds or 12-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
There's no age where it can
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
be immune from it.
So you basically have to. What I've realized that's good. At least that's my part of the story. I like sometimes to talk to the child within me. So it's like I'm saying, I'm trying to be nice to myself. That's the
Hmm.
most important thing I would say, maybe,
Yeah.
because inside I would treat myself like a garbage. Like I would say bad things to myself. Like why is it only happening to me and what's happening? Why can I not be normal? And stuff like that. I
Yeah.
couldn't open up to my parents. They wouldn't understand. They didn't understand. They don't know even what anxiety is.
Hmm.
So it's unless you talk about it and look inside, there's not gonna be. It's gonna be difficult to actually get a good like process in.
Yeah. The healing starts from within, right? So being able to talk to your inner child who's like defenseless in a way, like you have to treat them like a child, like they can't fend for themselves. You have to look after them and care for them and be kind. I think
Yeah, definitely.
being kind to yourself first is is number one. Like it's key.
Yeah. Inwards, I would say, I always used to say inwards, then outwards. Inwards, and outs. Like, like do the work inside and then put it out there.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
goes back. Then you basically, it's like a reaction that's happening there.
Yeah. 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 I think that's a good rule for like everything as well, isn't it? Like people say like money doesn't buy happiness, and it's true. Like the happiness doesn't come from exterior things; it comes from
Oh, that's a
within.
certainty, yeah, for
Like
sure.
so.
It does help sometimes, but it's like
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah. Money doesn't
definitely.
buy happiness, but it can buy security, which can then alleviate stress and alleviate other stresses in your life. I think, but
It can give you the food, maybe the
yeah,
supplies
yeah,
to build a nice shelter inside. But
yes,
sometimes it's poetic kinda. It's like ironic, like getting
mm,
that safe might give you more stress, for example. So it's
yeah,
definitely like happiness definitely comes like from an inside shelter, I would say.
mm-hmm.
Um you build like as you want to build a shelter in real life, you have to build a shelter inside, I would
Yeah,
say. Definitely. If you don't care, if you're not careful with the house you're building inside,
mm-hmm.
then it's gonna collapse as a real
Yeah,
house.
yeah,
Basically,
yeah,
you have
yeah.
to have the foundations. You're right.
Foundations, correct. Yeah,
Even if it's a small house, I'm just figuring these things out. But I like this. It's like I'm a writer. Sorry.
yeah. I
Even
need
if
to
it's a small
apologize.
house
Mm-hmm.
with a couple of leaves, like a basic, like a cabin in the woods or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Even if
yeah,
it's a small house that gives you shelter, it's still very important,
yeah.
right? Because it's your shelter, it's gonna keep you safe. So
Protection.
yeah, even a basic house, like a small house, nothing crazy. As
Mm-hmm.
you grow up, thankfully, probably you might be able to build a better house inside, right?
Yeah, but giving yourself the foundation to progress and to improve
Yeah,
and to get better. I think that's why a lot of people, like I said, we I think we're both quite lucky with our childhoods that we didn't really like we both had great parents. We both had like that we were brought into this world with that shelter in place. Whereas
yeah, that
some people might
sure.
not have that foundation there already for them. That's not to say that some people like takes away from any struggles that we have or that they have or whatever. Everyone's different, but I think I don't really know where I was going with that point.
No, we're lucky. That's what you're gonna say, probably. Like we're
Yeah,
very lucky.
very. Yeah.
Sometimes it feels weird to talk about these things when you had like a very quite nice, actually, I would say, childhood.
Hmm.
At least for us, the most like difficult stuff were economic stuff. Maybe for
Right.
my family, I don't know,
Hmm.
but what your background is. I don't know if we've ever talked about it, but it's like we always were a bit thin on money. We were like right on the edge of stuff,
Right.
not poverty, but we had it just enough basically.
Hmm.
But everyone was really stressed on how to get money. We need to get that was the anxiety that was there and
Yeah.
influenced us, right? But when someone hears about this and he's living out in the street, or he has like a really bad childhood with no parents or bad parents and stuff like that, it does sound so weird, doesn't it? Like I feel like I'm a bad person sometimes
Hmm.
because I cannot. I have learned to value everything around me. That's what my parents would be. But sometimes even that, even though I value it, I cannot understand how it is to be someone living on the street or having a
Hmm.
bad childhood because it's so bad. It can
Yeah.
be really like I don't even know how I would be if I didn't have that foundation, and that's why I'm
Hmm.
thankful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're very empathetic, like I am. Like you can see someone in need, and you can kind of like, "Ah, I want to help them. Like I feel you feel guilty for not being able to help them, or for sometimes you can get like guilt of being in a better position than someone else. I don't know if that's a thing that's been studied or spoken about. Really, I don't know, but like you almost get that guilty of like, oh, I have a roof over my head and a bed to sleep in, but this person doesn't. That's not fair. Like, but I don't think you can't feel bad for that. It's
I don't get it nowadays. That one I used to get it more.
yeah,
Like I know I don't mean I don't get it. Like I don't understand it. I mean I don't have it
you
doesn't
don't get
happen to
those
me
feelings. Yeah, yeah.
anymore because basically all of my life basically my family tried to earn what they deserved and like
Hmm.
get the things they so basically because we grew up in that mindset I always had to work and do stuff and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, um, when I went through this process after like 2015 and stuff with panic disorder and stuff, which was like I would get up and I would be already tired, for example, for the day.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would be done already. And I would be stressed all the day, stress, 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 stress. And then I started thinking that working through it and be able to, I actually did not medicate, by the way. I was like maybe one of the few people that did not medicate about it,
Hmm.
which is not a good idea, most of the cases, to be fair. That's not professional advice, of course. That's
Hmm.
something I did.
Yeah.
I managed to do it like in a different way than most people do. But even getting to that point to get up and be
Hmm.
able to be myself a bit or the best I can be and actually be productive and going to work and seeing people without thinking all of these things,
Hmm.
I feel I do not like even though I'm feel empathetic, like I feel like I've earned my place at least
Yeah.
in this world, right?
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
feel like I've been through my battles and I'm already having a battle. Like I have battles every day because panic disorder does not go away. It's there. It's probably going to be there till my last day.
Hmm.
It does not go away completely. That's one
Yeah.
thing people also don't understand sometimes.
Hmm.
I think with depression and everything, anxiety, all of the mental health stuff, I don't think it ever goes away completely.
Hmm.
I feel it stays there, kinda
Yeah.
sometimes, and yeah, that's very important, right? Because sometimes we build something and it collapses. If we had like a bad period, we need to be kinder to ourselves and not be able to not be like, oh my god, why did it happen again or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel it's very important.
Yeah, you can't like beat yourself up for it, but it's also trying to again going back to the shelter, like putting yourself in the best situation
Yeah,
possible
exactly.
to be able to deal with the things that come your way and the things that like the anxiety might never disappear, but there's definitely a lot of ways you can alleviate it. So instead of you feeling super anxious every day, it may be every couple days, or it's every day but not quite as strong, or you kind of learn to recognize the symptoms and you have your methods of how to alleviate that, be it counting backwards from 100, going outside, exercising, reading, writing, like whatever works for you, because
Yeah,
everyone's different. Like, I
that
think,
was a very good. That was a very good. Yeah, that's a very nice like point. And I think the metaphor with the shelter is also really good because
yeah, I
it's
quite
like
like that.
because like I just figured it out to be fair, but it's like when you have the shelter and the supplies, right? Let's say you
Hmm.
build your shelter, and my shelter is in need.
Yeah.
You can help me, and I can help you
Hmm.
when like our house gets broken,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when you're in a good state, it's good that you build because then you can help people out.
Yeah.
It's very important to have
Mhm.
extra supply sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
I'm a
it's the same thing. You have to kind of look after your. If you can't look after yourself, you're not really in a prime position to help someone else. It's like when you're on an airplane and they say like fit your air mask before helping someone else. It's like if you are not stable or you're not in the position to help, then you can't. Like, you gotta help yourself first to then better help others.
Yeah, definitely. Even though many people that are like dying inside, basically, are very good in helping other people. That's
This
also
is true.
something that
This is
happens.
true. Yeah.
So even though it does apply, I think that what you're saying, it isn't like the base story. But the
No,
more
no, no, no.
supplies you have inside, it's gonna be easier to help people in a more like good way and don't suffer yourself too because
Yeah.
it's a quid pro quo, Clarice. It's a
Hmm.
it's a it's basically give and take what you're
Yeah.
getting, right? So
Yeah, like I was speaking to when I was speaking to Kyle, he was saying how where he struggles a lot in himself, so he puts his effort into making others laugh and entertaining other people to make them not feel as bad. And then
oh yeah, I feel that.
cycling back to the whole like Robin Williams thing, like sometimes the
Yeah,
saddest and people that are struggling the most are the ones that come across the most happiest and smiliest because they don't want you to feel, they don't want other people to feel the same way that they feel.
but yeah, that's so real.
Mm,
I think you also do that. I also do that. I think we
massively, yeah.
have that thing in common. Maybe that's why we are like a good trio.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
we're very close to these things.
Mhm.
With different stories, but we have like a lot of similar stuff,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate that. Like, wow,
Me too, man.
I'm really glad I was able to find. Yeah, as I said, I think I've hit the jackpot in friends.
That's
I
awesome to hear,
really
man.
believe that.
That really is awesome to hear. Like,
It's really important.
some people can have like only online friends where they don't really can't see them too much, or they have like one friend, or sometimes we have no friends, and it's hard. So the fact you can have like a group of friends that you've grown up with, as well as finding new friends in like later on in life that you can connect with, I think is really awesome.
Yeah, I
Excuse
think
me.
it's sometimes because people stay with a lot of people that they used to have like in their life.
Hmm.
Getting new friends, I think it's really not like seen enough. Like
Yeah.
like getting good, actually getting decent people as new friends, it's rather difficult.
Yeah, it's not spoken
It's
about
rather
enough. It's
difficult.
hard to make
Yeah,
friends as an adult.
but you can get friends that would be there for a life if you open yourself up. That's a
For sure.
certainty.
Yeah.
Because yeah, as you grow up you're gonna get more, this might get more difficult sometimes, but it also might, you're gonna have basically what you need to build a good friendship and look also to help each other and
Yeah.
do like that, and not only being kids and just, oh, he's living next to me, he's my best
Yeah,
friend.
you're not friends just because you were born next to each other or went to the same
Yeah,
school and you were like, you have those friends that you're like, you were forced, not forced, but like naturally you were close together, so you would become friends. Like,
proximity friends, as I
yeah,
say.
yeah. So like I have my close group of friends that I wouldn't even say I'm very close with. I'm kind of like on the outside because I don't go out and drink too often and I'm a bit more introverted. and like I might not have as many things in common as they do. Like a lot of them play golf and things like that, which I'm not really into.
Oh, golf.
Yeah, not for me. But
Nah, yeah.
anytime, even if we don't speak for weeks, as soon as I speak to them, I know they're there for me. I know they'll have my back. I know they'll support me, like in whatever. But like, I'm thankful that I have those group of friends that I've grown up with, as well as the adult friends that I've made, like in adulthood, mainly through content.
Yeah, this is really good. I think you have similar. I think we are quite similar in that.
Yeah.
This is really good. It's good to have like also close friends from childhood and like in whatever stage in your life you get some people in. Maybe
Mhm.
some people out. It's not an issue.
Yeah.
It
Again,
happens.
it's something I was speaking in the car with, especially like in content, streaming, and things like that. You have
Mm.
so many interactions. Like so many people are come and going, come and going, come and going, and it's like you can't be close friends with everyone. You just can't. I think you
Oh,
kind of
definitely. Yeah.
like you have the really inner circle, the outer circle, and then like acquaintances and people that like some friends come for just a season. You might be good friends, but you might only be friends for 6 months, and then you don't really talk. Nothing bad happened. You just they were
Hmm.
in that phase of your life, and I think it's awesome that content and streaming and social media can bring people like yourself and me together.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy to think like you live in Greece, you've never been to England. I've been to Greece, but like we met through me streaming, and then
Yeah.
like from then we just we
Crazy
spoke, we
day.
we, we spoke, we gamed, and then in 2023 I flew out to Greece and like met you in your home city, and like we hung out and went for drinks, and like you
And
took
now
me to
you
your
will be
hometown.
attending my marriage maybe in a couple of months. It's gonna be
Hopefully so.
crazy.
Yeah, you're getting married at the end of the year, and I would.
It's pretty funny to be fair. Our story is pretty funny.
It's wild, isn't it? Like, imagine like I'm just there at your wedding in Greece, and like your friends and family are coming up to me like, "Oh, how do you know the bride and groom?" I'm like, "I met him playing FIFA when I had green hair and shaved my beard off." Like, like
That's a funny story to be fair.
it'd be a really weird one to explain to people, but like, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. For those of you that probably don't know, I actually met Bertie in a stream, in his stream. I wasn't
Mm.
streaming then. I did stream back in the days, but I had stopped streaming then for a couple of years. And I basically went into his stream for no apparent reason. I just went in. He was playing
Mhm.
FIFA, which I loved. So I was like,
Yeah, it was the
"Oh, this
day
guy
one
looks
release.
cool. I love the hair." And he was actually playing FIFA for his birthday, and I just
Yeah,
chilled there for the whole stream. And then we just met. That's
yeah.
like kinda. He actually had a good pool with the I remember.
Oh my god,
We were
yeah, I got that team of
celebrating.
the year, right? Yeah, because it was my 1 year anniversary stream, which correlated with the release of the new FIFA at the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
something like
I
that.
think I'd hit my sub goals, so I'd had to like shave my beard off and leave just a moustache, and then I had to dye it
Yeah.
green, and it was like 3 in
Uh,
the morning,
uh,
and I was like getting super sleepy, and you just came out of nowhere. It was fucking, it's awesome.
I instantly knew I need to hang out with this
Yeah.
guy. It's like he is my type of weird, you know.
And we've
Like I
pretty
knew.
much we've pretty much spoken. I would say we've probably not gone more than a week without speaking since, I would say.
Ah, maybe less. I think we
Maybe
speak every
less.
like 2 or 3
No,
days at
every
least.
couple of days, yeah. Which is
I think I
awesome.
think I think that's why also having like a Discord and having people around and social communities and stuff like this is also very important.
Yeah.
It can help a lot of people, and that's why I also love that, like me being part of your community and like me being part of other communities in general too, because it can also help. It's also a way to help people,
Yeah,
of course,
definitely.
because you can easily open up. I think these days it's becoming more easy to open up, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Many people are gonna be there for you, so whoever has problems and stuff, you can always find yourself a community and stuff like that to help
Yeah, there's
because
a
it's
community for
like really
everything.
important. Yeah, it's
I think it's
you
in
have there are the ways. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, 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 go on, continue.
As you realize, I tend to open to like talk a lot. You know that.
Maybe you start your own podcast as well.
I was thinking about it actually before we talked about this,
Mm-hmm.
like doing this today. But I'm definitely gonna look into it for sure. Yeah, it's
Do it,
something
man.
I like. I always like to, I was always looking. I kind of knew my purpose from a very young age, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't actually act on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you feel that you're slowly finding your purpose too? Like, do
I
you
think
feel that?
so. I think so. Yeah.
I feel like I was always like what we're doing now, which is maybe it's helpful for someone, maybe it's not, but it's like I always wanted to talk to people and be able to influence them in a good way.
Yeah.
I always like that. I
Yeah.
always did that daily, basically. I was that friend that would influence people. So I was like, I'm slowly going to that one. Like I want to
Mm-hmm.
help people. I want to
Yeah.
help people
Same.
in many ways. But I feel like if when you have like a similar purpose and stuff, that's why I loved like talking about this basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why I messaged you and like that's crazy
It
timing.
was spooky time, and then Nick literally messaged me as saying that we should start a mental health podcast. Literally like the day after I recorded episode 1, and I hadn't posted it out yet.
That's crazy timing. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I was like, if I was going to do that with one guy, it's gonna be Bertie because I feel that we are in the same language.
Mm-hmm.
Language? Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the
So
same wavelength.
wavelength. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I tend to be Greek sometimes again.
It's all right. English is your second language. It's okay.
But it's like, yeah, it's really, even if it helps one person, it's really important,
Mm-hmm.
and the message should be out there. So it's whoever wants to open up and needs help, you should go get that. I
Yeah.
think it's a perfect setting nowadays. Not perfect, but a better setting nowadays to get you the help that you need
Yeah.
and the people that you need rather than the old days, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. I think we would definitely love to have you back on because I think you are very, very good at talking openly about difficulties and struggles. And I think if you were to start a podcast, like, or any kind of content along the similar lines, I think you would do great with it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the plans I have. Like for now, streaming and stuff is how I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna put my message out. But podcast is always something I really wanted. That's why I messaged you too. That was
Mm-hmm.
crazy. But I feel that there's so much we can talk about.
Yeah.
I feel like I barely also scratched the surface of what I was gonna say about like anxiety and panic disorder because I have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
We could easily sit here and talk like 8 hours.
Hours.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
believe
Yeah.
that. So I think we definitely need to do like a
Yeah, we'll
second
definitely
episode.
100%.
Maybe dive a bit like more deep into it. Maybe
Yeah.
you can tell me your side of the story, or
Yeah, yeah,
it's
for sure.
definitely. I think it. I was thinking about it. We were going through this. I have a lot of things to talk about. Like
If you want to get
we
into it,
have
we
a
can get
lot of
into it. We
things.
haven't got there's no I haven't really got a time limit on things. If you want to or if you want to
What
save
I
it for
was
next
gonna.
time, we can save it for next time.
No, I'm okay on time.
Hmm.
I would probably still have like maybe 20 minutes at least.
Yeah, yeah,
I
sure.
would like what I was gonna say is like, have you had people with panic disorder in your life, like actively,
Um
other than me, I guess?
I don't think so. My ex-girlfriend, she had not a panic disorder, but she would get panic attacks from time to time. I think we were together like 6 years and she maybe had like maybe 5. So not
Hmm.
not too many, but I definitely like I studied up on the symptoms and like how to recognize when one's happening and like how to try and help someone.
That's really important.
Um, and I think that's definitely something that, especially if we speak about it next time, to try and delve into, even if people don't suffer from them, how to react and help others if they are suffering. Um, but it's definitely, I think I've only ever had one panic attack that I can think of, and I can't even remember what it was about. I just remember I think I'd got home from work or something, and I just remember being on the end of the bed, and I was just like started shaking and like crying for no reason. There's like an event coming up that I was kind of like nervous about, like
Hmm.
a public event, And yeah, I just remember just like shaking and like shivering and just not being able to move. And then maybe lasted like 15 minutes. And thankfully, my ex girlfriend at the time, she having experienced it, she kind of knew what to do
Oh, that's good.
to like bring me
That's good.
back down. But that's kind of the only real experience I have of
Hmm.
panic. I think mine is more of like an anxiety of like I guess they kind of go hand in hand, right? Like the anxiety and
Oh yeah,
the
definitely.
panic.
And the depression too.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
As I
But
said, I would like the first days, like not the first days, but the first years this would happen. When I had one panic, to be fair, most of the cases it depends on the people. It's not that you actually get a full blown panic attack.
mm,
It's is it that you are usually on the verge of having a full blown panic attack. So
yeah,
sometimes you're able to catch up, right? So it doesn't happen, but you
yeah,
still get the bad effects of it because
yeah,
it almost happens. So sometimes you get like I would get super depressed the next days. I
yeah.
wouldn't be able to easily go out and stuff. Would be I would want to be close to my house in case something happened,
Hmm.
stuff like that. And I was gonna say that, um, yeah, you sometimes like depression is like it's heavily linked in these things, like
Hmm.
heavily. It goes back and forth,
Yeah.
like
So it's because it's like the whole actual ordeal of the panic attack. Like when I had mine, it was like I was struggling to breathe and like my chest was tightening
yeah, that's the
and
worst
like I was
one.
like hyperventilating. And then like the stress of all of that, like I say the next day, I remember I was exhausted. Like I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I was just like wiped. I think I just sat in bed and just watched crap TV all day.
Yeah, it's heavily linked with that. You know what's the
Mm.
worst thing about it? I think, at least for me,
What's
the
that?
worst thing about it is the feeling that you're dying. That's the worst
Yeah.
thing about it, because you're right there, like your body's on a fight or flight simulation basically.
Mhm.
So you probably have also adrenaline and stuff. Adrenaline, not that
Adrenaline
one.
in my
But you're
soul.
basically feeling like that. That's the worst thing ever. Like you're
Yeah.
feeling that you're dying. That's maybe the worst. Like people, saints. That's something I hadn't actually thought about it. But people have like some moments in their life, if they're not dealing with this, right, that they feel they might perish, right?
Yeah.
So they, and this usually changes their lives. It might be an accident, it might be a heart attack, it might be something. But
Mhm.
when you have, that's something I just realized. When you have panic attacks, you might be this might be life-changing events. Your body is experiencing them maybe each day. So imagine
Yeah.
like people that have like close death experiences, right?
Mhm.
Get like you can get like you might turn your life around or
Like an
something, or
epiphany.
yeah, exactly. And with panic attack, you feel like you're having like near death experience sometimes. So imagine how much it affects you having this like every day maybe, or
Constantly,
like
yeah.
once in a, or just being there on the back of it. Like that feeling for me is maybe the worst thing about them.
It's horrible.
I think that's, yeah, I think that's the worst thing. I
Mm.
almost had like a panic attack maybe 2 months from now, before
Mhm.
now, on my work, because I felt we had like a huge line of customers, and I was like very stressed that day. I remember it, and I was smashing it. That's the way. That's the most sad thing about it. It usually happens on your best days. It's
Yeah.
almost like it's almost like your body actually does it on purpose. I
Like a
really believe that sometimes.
self-sabotage.
Yeah, I really
Yeah, yeah,
believe it
yeah.
sometimes. It tends to happen on some of your best days. That's the weird thing.
Yeah.
And that leaves you a feeling when sometimes you are happy and you're like, fuck, why am I happy? It's gonna go to shit right now. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
that's also a really bad one. It's like you're like I try to savor, I always savor my days. But
Mhm.
sometimes when things are going too well, I'm like, huh, wait a
Yeah.
minute.
This is too
wait,
good
wait,
to
wait,
be
wait,
true.
wait. It's
Yeah.
weird. It does come with what many people maybe don't realize from the outside, is it that it does come with it's like a deal. panic attacks and anxiety are a deal.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
comes
you
with a
buy the
lot of other
package.
stuff. So it doesn't mean you're having panic attacks each day. It might mean that you have all of these thoughts though surrounding you each day, and it's like super
Hmm.
draining. It's
Yeah.
like that's why many people that have anxiety also lead to depression, and depression leads to anxiety. They're linked.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like one of the worst things, basically. I don't know if
Hmm.
you felt that day, that feeling,
No, thankfully not.
but yeah, like if you manage to dodge it, like dodge it, it's like
Hmm.
it's like awful. Like I had like this, as I was telling you in my work, that day after a lot of time that I didn't have a panic attack, I actually felt I was dying, and I was like, "Fuck, what's going on?"
Yeah.
And then, of course, I was able with my supplies that I have right now. I managed to calm myself down the best way I could, and I was
Yeah.
still feeling dizzy and stuff. I may have had also like maybe maybe I didn't hadn't eat well, I hadn't slept well. This always matters too,
Yeah, all
right?
these
Health.
factors
So yeah,
contribute.
your health is gonna be like influencing your panic attacks and your anxiety.
Yeah.
Because if you're getting constant dizziness, or you're not doing stuff right, you're not sleeping well and stuff, maybe your heart rate is out of sync. It's other things. It comes with a deal package basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, like having health is also really important in dealing with these basically incidents.
Definitely. And that again, that circles back to like the physical health impacting
Yeah,
the mental health.
oh, yeah, for
Like
sure,
like
for sure.
I did in January, I tried to go the whole of January without eating sugar, like processed sugar and
Okay.
things like that. So
Yeah,
like I wouldn't
process.
have no sweets, chocolate, fizzy drinks,
Hmm.
biscuits and whatnot. And I lost a lot of weight, but I also felt like I had so much more energy. My head felt clearer. I felt like I felt like my foundation was better prepared than when I'm eating bad food. If
Yeah,
that
definitely. Like diet and exercise and stuff are maybe the most like important things.
It's a
That with
massive
habits
part.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to read
I
that
would
book,
say.
Atomic Habits. That's on my list.
Didn't I also tell you to read it maybe one day? I thought we talked about it a bit.
Possibly.
Maybe.
I think we spoke about Atomic Habits. I've just started listening to the book you told me to give a read, I think 2 weeks ago, the What's Your Dream by Simon Squibb, I think is the
Oh
author.
yeah. Oh yeah. I love that guy.
That's
It's
really
like
good.
I don't know if you've seen him and stuff in like TikTok. He's like
Yeah, he
maybe
mentioned it in the book that he's famous on TikTok for asking people what their dream is. And I remember seeing that guy like 2 years ago asking these videos. It's
he
like, oh my God, it's him.
he's trying to help people like make their dreams come true, which is
Yeah.
amazing. And he's also trying to change the education system of the UK. So
Hmm.
I think it's something that's really close to you, right? So it's you might get more stuff from it from what I did,
Hmm.
but it's like, I really love the book, and I also like the purpose. And I realized that because the education system in Greece, that's why I started doing Greek streams again.
Hmm.
Um, the education system in Greece is also, like in many places, heavily flawed. So if I
Hmm.
could influence at some point any age and actually give them some food for thought,
Yeah.
that's also a purpose, right? So it's an extra thing, but I would definitely advise also reading the Atomic Habits one is one of the best books I've read
Yeah,
for
that's next
everyone
on my
that
list.
in my past work in a publishing house, my boss would give us one book each week. We had to read one book each week.
Hmm.
Half of them was self-help. Half of them were like basically whatever we researched for our work. So at that time, romances.
Right.
But Atomic Habits and Influence, another book that's really good, and a couple of other ones,
Hmm.
is really really helpful for every day. Like
Right.
it's something that's gonna influence everything.
Hmm.
Like if you're having mental health stuff, it's gonna influence it. If you wanna eat better, um, sleep better and stuff,
Yeah.
it gives a lot of food for thought. So definitely
Yeah.
give that
Definitely,
a
definitely
look.
two books recommended to read is Atomic Habits and What's Your Dream
Yeah,
for sure.
there are a lot of good stuff. The good thing is that you can get nowadays. Back in the days, maybe not be that easy, right?
Mm.
But you can get really good help, even though after, like you get a mental health expert, right?
Hmm.
But you can also get a lot of help from reading books, like in online stuff, which is
Definitely.
very important. Like I feel like our generation and the next one specifically might have, even though it's gonna be maybe more stressful, maybe more. We're gonna see it's difficult to see now, but they're gonna have at least the material to
Yeah.
actually improve their mental health even better than
The
us.
resources are all
Maybe
there.
the resources, yeah. We are already doing it. Like
Mm.
our generation is already trying to do it, but it's
Yeah.
gonna take, it takes a lot of time to actually have influence in society, for example,
Yes, to
or
really like ingrain it into society
yeah,
and to
yeah.
make it not just like a conscious decision, but like it's just naturally there and part of the system and part of the cycle of things get taught in school. You get taught to look after your health, and you get taught to be a good person and to study maths. And I hope that the school systems can implement. I don't know what it is now. I've been out of school for 15 years or whatever, but like
Yeah.
if they can have lessons where they speak about mental health and give help on how to look after it and maintain your mental health, I think would be super cool.
That would be so important.
Hmm.
I really wish I had learned that in school, like all of
Yeah.
these years ago. I sometimes imagine the man I would be if I had that, but I'm
Hmm.
also thankful of the man I am right now because
Hmm.
of what I've been through. So
Yeah.
it's weird, but it's like sometimes you think like, what if or something. But
Nah, your
I
battles
I
make you
really
who
I
you are.
think that it has to be. Yeah, definitely. Like would I have made the same friends? Would I have had the same things? It's
Yeah.
weird. I usually don't like to think a lot about this,
You can go
but it's
deep with
like
it.
something. Yeah, I'm a writer, so I fantasize things. So sometimes I think about stuff.
Do you think about like
That's
parallel
also.
universes and stuff like that? So like
Yeah,
Nick in
I
a
always
different
loved
universe
parallel
is like,
universe. Yeah. I always loved movies and series that had like parallel
yeah,
universe, like how the most simple stuff would influence whatever you did and stuff. It's very important.
yeah.
Like I love it. But if they manage to actually get mental health into schools,
Hmm.
you should actually, I don't know, you should get Simon to actually make you like get you your dream and maybe you be the leading in that.
Maybe. We'll see where this podcast goes. We'll see what happens.
Maybe send him a message. He's always glad to help, I think. But he's
True.
like, if you wanna change, that's actually some like a really important link. But if you wanna change the education system of UK, which is what he's trying to do, you have to get mental health in there too.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like I wish I knew stuff like that apart
Mm.
from whatever other knowledge, because we get generic. I don't know about you guys, but we get super generic knowledge
I would imagine it's the
in
same.
high school. So I really wish sometimes I had spent my time better, but there's no escape from that.
Yeah. I mean,
There's no like.
when I was at school, we had zero. There was nothing spoken about it. It wasn't spoken about. But I would like to think if they could at least have lessons in how to help people acknowledge the signs, I think that would be huge.
Oh yeah, definitely. Maybe like you see what things are happening. It's very difficult, like all around the world, like
Yeah.
school shootings, stuff like that. It's
Hmm.
maybe it will actually save some people. For sure,
Yeah,
we would save some people
for
because
sure.
it's. I'm surprised they actually haven't done that actually a lot. I'm
Mm,
very surprised. I can see there being a lot of maybe blockages of why it isn't done that
hmm.
much, because it has to be done by it has to be done perfectly,
Yeah.
because you're gonna have, yeah, it's gonna be difficult. I can see the blockages, but for real health it shouldn't be an issue. I think
I
like
feel
every
like
government should strive to that.
yeah, I feel
I
like
feel.
schools would have to you'd have to get some kind of specialist in 'cause I don't think teachers would be a teacher that teaches maths or something isn't the most well equipped to like
Oh, for
provide the
sure, no.
knowledge. You'd have to
Yes.
get someone specifically in for that is trained
Do they do that in USA though? Do they do that like in
I
America? I
don't
thought they
know.
do have some councils. I'm
They
not
have
very.
counselors. Yeah, they definitely have counselors. I think they have them in
I
the UK as
haven't.
well.
Uh, I'm curious now. It doesn't happen to us for sure. For
Really?
me at least. You in UK, you have like someone
I
or
think so.
no
I think I remember us having a counselor, but
counselor? But is he like a specialist or is it like a
I
generic
don't
one? That's the
know.
thing.
I feel like if we had a counselor like 10, 15 years ago, I feel like they must
Mm-hmm.
have them now. But it's good. It's good, like you see in like the American movies and things like that, that they have counselors. They're like, oh, you can always come talk to me and things like that. But to the whereabouts of their knowledge and degrees or specialties, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious actually right now. It's
Mm,
like maybe they do because they have a lot of stuff going on lately.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I
they
think this
definitely
needs
do.
to. I think every school in every country in the world has to have like a mental health specialist,
Yeah, I would agree.
and maybe colleges too. Even I don't know.
Yeah, 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 for sure,
Actually, maybe colleges. Yeah, definitely because
definitely.
in college you're gonna have also more. Your mind is gonna be broadened for sure.
Yeah,
Like since you were a child, so you're
yeah.
gonna have more thoughts. You might get deeper into
New
more stuff. It's
experiences.
so it's a different level. So I think also that to be fair, most of people, well, not most of people actually. I don't know. In Greece, it's awful. It's still kind of awful. People do go to therapists
Hmm.
more, more and more these days. But back in the days, you would never go unless you had like a
Yeah,
real issue, like not a real issue, like a something difficult happening,
yeah.
like a
Something specific
breakdown,
that happened. Yeah.
like a complete breakdown. They wouldn't go. But I think nowadays maybe more college people have
Hmm.
like someone to talk to. Maybe I think it does happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
But we have like a certain point of view of what's happening, right? So I can
Hmm.
say my side, you can say your side. I don't think this is gonna be applicable to everyone. And
No,
because take out Europe, Europe might be in a good state, or in a better state than it was, but you can go outside. Specifically have no idea what's going on. Like if
no.
you let me know about another country, what's the mental health there, I cannot tell you. It's like
Hmm.
I would love to learn about it, really, but
Yeah,
it's something I would love for someone from, for example, from Japan to come and
yeah,
have a talk. It's very intriguing.
yeah.
It's something that's really nice. The good thing is with our community, we can have like a lot of, like, for example, it would be really difficult for you to have like a Greek guy. Like, I can give you that point of view, right? We
Hmm.
have people from Germany, USA. We have people from
Yeah,
I get the potentially this being a nice, like more better view, like of specific like
definitely.
experiences.
Like
That's nice.
we have so many friends. Like grateful for the friends I've met through Twitch and YouTube. We're all from different countries. Like it's why like out of the first three episodes, it's people from three different countries in you, Kyle, and Muffin Man in Seychelles. Like, so it's kind of I
Yeah,
want to be able to talk to people in different countries and kind of learn what kind of life growing up there is like, what life is there now. Like, kind of just I want knowledge, like I want to learn. I want people to have a place to tell their stories as well and to be able to be open.
yeah. Oh, I think that's very important, and I'm very thankful for you for doing this because it is a safe haven for people to actually talk about things.
Hmm.
I hadn't talked about this for a long time. Like in a retrospect of actually putting my experiences out there and being heard and giving my like experiences to other people because it might help them.
Yeah.
Even though I think I might have barely scratched the surface.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I really appreciate you doing this. I think it's very
Thank you,
going to
man.
be very important, and I think it's going to be good for you too because we are all in this together. Like everyone's having
For
their own
sure.
stuff, so we are all growing together. That's the most important thing,
Yeah.
and I really hope you do like you manage to do like this. This is perfect. Like keep being you, and I
Thank you,
love
man.
this.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I think I keep saying it and people will already get sick and tired of me saying it, but this is basically like, I want this to be like my therapy. And
Mm,
maybe not therapy for for just for me, but for if it helps people, like guests or listeners, learn something or figure something out or just make them feel not alone, then like perfect. And I think that's a good goal to strive for.
I think that's a great purpose. We all need
Hmm.
purpose and stuff.
Yeah.
And once you find it, I think it's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
Like once you start doing it, as I said, like it's very important to like chase your purpose and stuff, for
Hmm.
sure. And I'm really helpful. You let me be a part of this journey,
Of course, man.
because
I've
it's like I think we're definitely gonna have probably another
We're
episode
gonna have
at
a
some
few more
point.
episodes at some point for sure.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
would. You know what? Something I would really like to do. I would like to have an episode, if you want, where we would do like more like a room, like not a room, full room, but maybe 3 or 4 people. So maybe we can
Yeah,
have
that'd be
some
cool.
crossed.
Multiple guests.
Um, yeah, like
Yeah.
maybe not a lot because it's gonna be maybe too much, but
Hmm.
maybe 3 or 4 people of us, of the
Yeah.
close ones, to
Yeah.
get like interesting situation, like
We
like
get some cool
discussion
stories
going.
as well. For sure.
Yeah, I think that would be another one.
Yeah,
Thank you,
definitely.
Bertie. Thank you
Thank you,
for
man.
having
So
me.
before we wrap up, I'm
Oh, yeah,
gonna
yeah, of
ask,
course.
I'm gonna
Sorry.
ask every person, every guest that comes on, I want to ask them to give a quote or one piece of advice for the people listening.
Ooh, that's a nice one. Mine is gonna be a quote that has like 2 parts in it. Okay,
Okay.
so it's gonna be one quote, but it's gonna have an end.
Right.
Right? I would say try it like open up, basically. Like, so try to open up to your close ones, even if you don't like, even if they cannot understand. You have to open up. That's the most important thing for me, and
Mm-hmm.
of what I've realized did the biggest change for me. And also, within that, try to love your look. Like, that sounds generic the way I was gonna say it, but try to embrace what you are and be also kind of proud about it. I'm gonna say it in a
Nice.
different way.
I love
With
that.
yeah, so basically, embrace your identities, which means you're a content creator, right? Say I'm a content creator,
Like
right?
own it.
I'm a writer. Yeah, own it basically, yeah. Or like if it's something that's happening to you, you have to own who you are, because it's sometimes you can dissociate basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels weird trying to be yourself and not being able to, and
Yeah.
blocking yourself. So own your stuff, I would say, maybe, and open up about it.
Yeah.
That, if I would quote that in one.
Yeah. I like that. I love that. I think that's a perfect way to wrap this up. Embrace your identity.
Yeah, I think that's also what did like maybe the most help for me when I started opening up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and embracing who I was.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you for opening up. Thank you for
Thank you
being
for
so
having me.
honest.
That was amazing.
And I really appreciate you, man. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. I
Thank you, man.
appreciate all of you.
Take care, guys.
Uh, Take care, guys. On to the
Bye,
next
everybody.
one, maybe.
Maybe, maybe, maybe.